Hi FLOSSTUBE. Sunday 1st of December. Summer's here. Actually yesterday was really hot. It was so hot and I went and had a little afternoon nap and I woke up and I was just so dehydrated and it was so hot in my bedroom. And last night I admit I put the heat pump on, the cooling on the heat pump. I had a really good night's sleep because I was lovely and cool. But yeah, despite summer being here today, it's raining. So yesterday we had almost a heat wave, scorcher. Today it's just quite rainy and horrid. Never mind. Bit of a late start for me today. I popped into the city. When I say into the city, I mean Wellington. Technically I live in a city, but it's tiny, tiny, tiny. Wellington's a small city, but it's, you know, the capital. It's where all the fun is. I popped in there this morning, had brunch with a friend from work, and then we went for a walk around Te Papa. Te Papa is New Zealand. What is it called? It's Te Papa Tongarewa, which is the Museum of New Zealand. But they have a whole lot of art as well, and they have a nice art section called, I can't remember. I'll put the thingy. And they've got a cool sort of contemporary art section, and if I remember, I'll put a few photos in just to some really cool installations. They've redone a whole sort of New Zealand section, at which I think Te Papa opened, I'm going to say 1999 maybe? 98 or 1999. So there's a section that's all about New Zealand and includes flora and fauna. And there were some really cool moths. So given that last week was my I showed the finish of HL's moth. I took a couple of pictures of some really neat New Zealand moths. Really, I must admit I appreciate them under glass more than I would if they flew into my house, but some of them are actually really beautiful. So yeah, a couple of pictures here of some moths. Okay, so I didn't do a lot of stitching this week. I did nothing last weekend. It was all about doing yard work and cooking and socialising. And then I did a bit of stitching on Monday and Tuesday. Then Wednesday night, after a particularly rough day at work where it's a bit stressful trying to get a business case ready for the board to approve, which will hopefully give me some work to do next year, I came home and did some aggressive weed whacking, and I've sort of hurt my neck by kind of the weed whacking motion. So Thursday and Friday I've been pumped up on tramadol and basically semi-stoned at work. I have an insensitivity to NSAIDs, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So anything like what we're in here, Voltaren, ibuprofen, any of those, I can't take any of them. So the only thing that I can do for like muscle and nerve pain is synthetic morphine. So I don't take it very often, but when I do, it can get a little bit dungy. But anyway, so because of my sore neck, I can't stitch with a sore neck. It's starting to come right. I can move it now, whereas I was a bit like this all week and had a couple of terrible nights sleep because of my neck. I'm trying to lie down and it's just so uncomfortable. Anyway, it's coming right. Yay. Driving's been a bit fun. It's been like stop and then look, can I see? Can I see? No. But anyway, so I think a theme of my videos might be that whatever I say my plans are going to be, I don't do them. because each week I've pretty much not done what I said I was going to do, so I might just not bother saying what I'm going to do, because I probably will do something different. I did do, so yeah, no finishes this week, you may be surprised to know, but I thought I did pick a couple of things up from the framers which you might be interested in, just to show you some fancy framing really. I'm sort of alternating getting, now that I have my house, getting things from my collection framed. So I had a couple of small things framed that I, from my trip to India in, when did I go? 2000, I don't remember. I don't remember when I went, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So the first one is a little silk painting. I just got framed with this sort of matte black matte and a matte frame, and it's a gold miniature painting on silk, and it's sort of a traditional threesome that you find often given as wedding gifts and for good luck. The elephant stands for good luck, the horse stands for power, and the camel stands for love. So, and I sort of thought Indian sort of art and decor can be, can be quite garish to our sort of Western aesthetic, but I thought by going with the black it sort of helps make it fit more into my home rather than, I mean, it's pretty. Anyway, it's just a cool little, so it's a painting on silk. And I picked that up this week from the framer, and I'm really happy with it. There's that one. And I also got, so there's often over there you can get, they've quite a lot of miniature paintings, and I'd wanted to get a painting of Krishna, just as some, a major deity in Hinduism, and I just thought that was a little nice way to have a memento of my trip. And they do a lot of painting on old documents, deeds and things. So I picked this up from when I was in Jodhpur in Maranga Fort, and it was just in their gift shop, and it's a miniature painting of Krishna on an old document, an old deed or something. Now the document's crooked, I just wanted her to keep, and actually the paper's completely cattywampus, so when you, like, it's not square, it's like really quite an odd shape. So I just said to my framer, just have Krishna front and centre, or the bottom and centre, and just matte over top of it, and then we could always take the document out, and there's writing on the back and stuff. And I sort of went again with the same black matte just to keep it sort of toned down, I guess. And I loved this sort of, I call it a really dirty, kind of matched the dirty sort of dinginess of the document. It's that sort of a vintagey sort of old matte old gold sort of frame. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. So I need to find the right place to put them on the wall. So yeah, those are my finished FFOs, except all I had to do was cut them around India for 5 weeks and then bring them home and store them for a few years. So yeah, I'm really happy with those. So no finishes though. And because of the dodgy neck, and I've only really stitched like Monday, Tuesday evening, and then I managed a bit today. I picked up nothing that I said I was going to do last week. So I picked up my fractal bookmark. I just felt like doing some colour. So here's where it was last time. And I've got this much done. So what was I, around here? So yeah, I've sort of worked on this bit here. This is pretty much where the top page starts. So in here is where the top page, so the bottom, the sort of 3 pages, so I'm a good 2/3 through it, and I'm really happy with it. So I see a finish, I'll probably, I'll put it away. I see a finish in my near future. I mean, I started in February or March, but I have really completed this amount of work, I'm going to say, with maybe four concentrated sessions, so 4 weeks. So, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but just that I do a chunk of it and then put it away. So I'll probably put this away today and pick something else up, and probably, even though I said I won't talk about plans, I'll probably pick up my Peacock, the Linen and Threads Mystery Peacock Garden Sampler, because we got the final section of that, and I had to pick up some thread, which I'll show you in a minute. But yeah, so that was the cross stitch or XS is the website, so XS Collectibles, and it's Fractal Bookmark 705. It was a free chart in February, and then I think it's now available under their for not very much, maybe $6 or something, as a download PDF pattern from their website. So that's that. Haul, I have a tiny little bit of haul. I'm still waiting for my small haul from JK Stitching, as I said, I think last week, and the Australia Post is well known for being terrible at shipping. I know once it gets to New Zealand, I usually get it within 2 days. Like anytime we track any arrivals through customs in Auckland, usually things come through Auckland, I have them the next shipping day, so next delivery day. We only get mail delivered every 3 days a week in New Zealand, because there's just not enough mail. So I get mail Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays, and so it might be here Tuesday or it might be here Thursday. I'm sure I'll get it this week coming. But today, because I needed to get another skein of specialty floss, fancy floss for my Peacock, I popped into my crappy L&S and picked up another skein of the Cottage Garden Threads. It's an Australian brand in maple. That's the colour that I did my Peacock in. And I'm going to do, there's butterflies around I'm going to do butterflies, possibly alternating this in the other Cottage Garden thread that I used, because I still have plenty of that left. So we'll see. I think I'll just use that to make it a bit fancy. But $9.50. Just fair, low, expensive. And then I got another exciting purchase, some needles. So yeah, just a pack of 28. I pretty much use John James. I've never used DMC, but I've heard not great things about them. They're also a tiny bit more expensive, but I usually use 26 or 28, so with the smaller, higher count, with the smaller one thread and stuff I use a 28, and then 32 count or 28 count I'll use a 26, but I'm down to one needle. I don't use lots of needles. I use my needle until it goes black. I just use the same needle. I have one needle minder. I basically stitch with a clipboard. I have a clipboard on the arm of my chair, and I clip my pattern. I always use a working copy. Put my working copy under the clipboard. I've got one needle minder sitting on the metal clippy bit, and that's where I stick my needle. I can leave my pencil there when I mark off a pattern if I need to mark off. I have to mark off the bookmark because it's so all over the place. But most patterns I don't need to mark off. And then I just use that needle until the needle gets tarnished, which in summer is quicker than winter. I try and wash my hands as much as very often to keep the oils and stuff off. I don't put needles with projects. I'm really, really low maintenance when it comes to stitching. Like, I have no desire to have 347 needle minders. I'm like, I need one. I'm not going to put it on my fabrics. I stitch in hand. One needle will be fine. One needle minder's fine. Make my own bags. Low maintenance. So that was my very exciting haul. I'm sure you're glad you stayed for that. I talked about plans already, how I don't really do what I said I was going to do. Reminder, last week's video, so my giveaway is still going on, my 25 sub giveaway. So that's video number 3. If you haven't entered, then go watch video number 3. So it's last week's, and there are instructions in the video, and you could enter still to go in the draw for this, The Cup of What You Fancy by LEXS. So yeah, giving that away next week. So next video I'll draw that. At the moment, coffee's winning. If anyone interested, I've kept a little tally, just because why not? And oh, the other thing last week in my video, I had finished HL's Moth by Kathy Barrick, and I had proposed it would be quite nice to do a swap with somebody, sort of get to know people in the community, and exchange a chart for another chart. And Tara, sorry, not Tara, we would say Tara here in New Zealand, Tara. Sorry about my New Zealand pronunciation of your name. The 805 Stitcher, excuse me. She took me up on the challenge. Tara is also a new FLOSSTUBER. We're sort of tag teaming it at the moment. I think she put her 3rd video up this weekend. I think she did it. She was talking about Thanksgiving. I can't remember if she said she'd done Thanksgiving or she was about to do Thanksgiving. So yeah, the end of the week. So she's taken me up on the challenge. So we've been emailing. I'm sending her HL Moth. She sent me through a rather long list of potential candidates for me to swap with. So I narrowed it down with things that I wouldn't, weren't my cup of tea, or things that I could easily get. So basically, took out anything that I had, anything that I wasn't interested in, or things that I could kind of easily get from 123 Stitch. And probably said, here's 5 or 6 options. And she's like, okay, which one? I'm like, no, just surprise me. I like them all. So she's very nervous about sending me something that, in case I don't want it. But I'm like, I said, hey, I like these charts. I'm quite excited about that. So I popped HL in the mail to her on Friday, and she said she's popped my surprise swap in the mail this week. So that's kind of cool. It appears from her video that she might be on a bit of a buying streak, and she's talking about a 100 subscriber giveaway shortly too, because she could easily get to 100 in the next week or two. So yeah, go over there. She also shows some lovely finishes from her late mother. Her mother was a stitcher, and she's inherited a lot of her mum's finished pieces, including wrestling a few from her father, who was going to sell some things. She's like, no. So yeah, go have a look check her out, Tara the 805 Stitcher. I asked last week too, what would you like to see from my old FFOs? And there were 4 options for this week, and I'll show them over the next 4 weeks, now that I've got sort of the order. So we had Teresa Wentzler finishes, Mirabilia Fairy finishes, Mirabilia Angel finishes, and Mirabilia Mermaid finishes. And Teresa Wentzler's come in number 1, so I'll be showing my 3 Teresa Wentzlers today, and I've just pre-recorded them, so I'll follow that in a minute. Next week I'll show the Mirabilia Mermaids, and a tie came for the Angels and the Fairies, so just the next 2 weeks. Actually the Angels one, it's actually going to work out quite good, because the Angels includes a Christmas one. I've got Crystal Christmas, so I'll do that to coincide with the week before Christmas, so that might be about 3 weeks away, so it's going to work out actually quite good. So whatever, I'll make sure that the Angel goes up, or show the Angel before Christmas, and then the fairies will just pop in either before or after, depending on where I get to. I will still be doing videos over Christmas because I've got 2 weeks off and I can do videos. Yeah, so I'll show you my 3 Teresa Wentzler finishes now. Okay, first up we have the Peacock tapestry, which I finished in 1992, and it's on 25 count mushroom Lugana, and this is my pride and joy. This was maybe the 3rd or 4th thing I ever stitched, and I will admit the pears and leaves just about, you know, drove a girl to distraction. But you know, every single one is a blend and fractional stitches and back stitch, but you know, it is fantastic. And it's all in the called for everything's called for, nothing that isn't. But yeah, I stitched it over a year. I sort of did a quarter and then put it away for a bit, and then I did another quarter, put it away for a bit, and then did another quarter, put it away for a bit. So I think this will be the next thing I get in the new year. Once I've recovered from sorry about the crinkle. I've got it on a piece of card with acid-free tissue paper, so it's a bit crinkly, but yeah. So there's my Peacock tapestry. But yeah, once I get the fence paid for, and I've got 2 rates payments in the new year, so after that I'll take this in to get framed, because it's been a very long time rolled up in a trunk waiting to get framed. Next up we've got the English Garden Sampler, which I finished in 2002. So yeah, 10 years later I picked this up, and it's on 25 count white Lugana with everything else called for. My first time I ever did cut work, and it's quite nerve-wracking when you finish. That's the last thing you do. The last thing you do is you cut the fabric, but you know, you follow the instructions and take care, and it works okay. Yeah, so these, I loved doing this border because it was quite repetitive. It was easy, it was quicker to do than the Peacock tapestry, because the Peacock tapestry, it's a repeat, but it's a really large repeat. It's like a big wallpaper repeat, so you sort of can't stitch it from memory. Whereas this is, you know, it's got lots of layers with various specialty threads and things, but it's quite quick by comparison. Yeah, those motifs have all the blends and stuff. I think somebody, Blitz Stitch, is stitching this, and he said he stitched the gate over 1. Did I? Ha! I did have absolutely no memory. The scroll work in this gate is stitched over 1. So when I have no memory of doing that, but apparently I did. Wasn't that hard. So quite funny really. It's been a really long time and I just don't remember having done that. But because I remember seeing his video recently when he was he's working down here, and he said that, oh yeah, blah blah, we're up to the 1 over 1, and I'm like, I don't remember doing that, but apparently I did, so who knew. Anyway, that's my English Garden Sampler, which I also hope to get framed next year. And fast forward another 13 years or so, 2015, I stitched the English Cottage Sampler, which is one of her older patterns, I think, and relatively simple by comparison. I mean, there's all those leaves and stuff, but they're mostly full stitches. There weren't as many fractional stitches in this, and a lot less, you know, specialty threads, specialty stitches with some lazy daisy down here. So by comparison to the previous 2, this was like, you know, reminded me a bit more of a Dimensions, old Dimensions sort of pattern from back in the 80s. But I thought I kind of needed to do it to finish off. I felt like the 3 go together. You know, the 2 are linked by Peacock and 2 are linked by this English Garden, a similar colour scheme. So yes, I finished that one. Now I had a real break from stitching at this stage, and when I bought the pattern, I bought it on. Sorry about the crinkle. Oh well, you'll live. When I bought the pattern on, I think it was second hand on Trade Me, which is sort of our New Zealand Craigslist. The pattern had an error with the count. When I bought my fabric, it made 2 errors. One, I'm going to make up an amount. Let's say it's 180 stitches wide, but the pattern said something like 160. It had the wrong count with lengthwise and I think widthwise, but mostly lengthwise. And then when I did my math, I'm like, oh yeah, I needed 3 inches for the border. I added 3 inches for the border, not 6 inches for the border. As I said, I'd had possibly 10 years break, and so what that means, and I stitched from the bottom up, so I'm okay at the bottom. By then I'd worked out, before I started stitching, I'm like, oh crap, I've only got 1.5 inches each side. Okay, that's fine, we can make that work. So I did start, you know, not so far in, but when I got to the top, I don't even have, what, maybe 1 inch, just under. But, you know, that's okay. I can stitch some on. It just means that my frame, that's how much I'm going to have around the edge. But, yeah, I've got some extra white that I can stitch on the top. So, you know, rookie mistake. But I never start in the middle. So that's just how it is. And it was okay. So, you know, we can make it work. But, you know, when you get all that way, it's a bit like, ah, crap. And that's it. So it's a short video this week. It's amazing when you don't have a lot of stitching. Well, I can still make a, 28-minute video maybe with all the extras, 25 minutes. But anyway, short and sweet, and I hope you enjoyed seeing some of the work that I've done. Hopefully next week, this week my neck will continue to improve, and I'll have a little bit more to share with you all. And yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Have fun with your stitching, don't stress at all, and of course, as always, don't let your needles rust. Bye.